I want to give you a little bit of background. I grew up in a small Italian family. There were 8 children. Mom and Dad made 10. I was number 6 from the bottom. I was homegrown, born in Macomb. 4 of the Lucido children were born in Detroit, but then Mom and Dad bought a piece of property, built their house, and in St. Clair Shores is where I grew up. So there was 4 boys, 4 girls. You're going to hear it all day long. We had odd jobs as children because my dad was a produce man, and he went door to door selling fruits and vegetables. And when he did that, there wasn't a lot of money left over, but we ate real well. I can tell you that now. I ate was like fruits and vegetables that were left over from the day, and they were fresh anyways when he got them home at night. So my first job was cutting a grass that they had at a Dairy Queen and dumping their trash. I was 8 years old, and it was right next to the house. And what ended up happening is I'd cut the grass, I'd dump the trash, and at the end of the week, the lady that owned the Dairy Queen would give me $5. And she'd also give me a bonus. She gave me some broken cookies that would make the ice cream sandwiches, the chocolate ones, and I liked those too. So I'd bring those home, and that's what we did. But I opened a bank account at 8 years old. Yeah, I did. I went to Standard Federal Bank, and it was 3 streets over from where I grew up. I walked in, and my teller was Mary. And Mary knew who I was because my mother would walk up there because we only had 1 car in the family, the station wagon, like all you did. And those were like suicides sitting in the back seat there, you know, in the back. That hatch that came down, and all these kids jump in, 4 of us in the back, and then 3 in the middle and 1 up in front with Dad. And I would go to Mary, and I had to open up a bank account to put this $5 in every week. And it was teaching me a lesson on how to save money. And she took out a 3x5 card, and she'd say, give me your name, give me your address, give me your date of birth, give me your social security number, and the secret password. What was your mother's maiden name? Remember? And then she opened up one of them green passbooks, not the S&H green stamps. We'll get to that in a minute. But it was the green passbook. And when I brought my $5 in every single week, except when it snowed, couldn't cut the grass then, she'd take the $5, she'd stamp this passbook with a kerchunker, and she'd sign her name next to it, or her initials, and it would go into some kind of machine or whatever. Here's the bottom line. Under the Patriot Act, that's what you got to write down. You were given booklets on page 30. You'll see that the Patriot Act only needs you to give your name, your address, your social security number, your date of birth, and they don't care about your mother's maiden name. So I want you to remember that, those things. Your name, your date of birth, your address, and your social security number. And every week, this money would go in, and every month, I'd get a statement from Standard Federal. And then once upon a time, don't forget Mary. Mary then went and took the 3x5 card at night, and she put it in this little 3x5 card box, probably in metal or plastic, and then would put it inside the file cabinet and lock it at night, so the ladies that did the vacuum and did the trash, they couldn't disturb that. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there were no computers back then, and there was no internet, no email, no cell phone. In fact, on Saturday, the Lucido family would watch Saturday Night at the Movies, and on Sunday, we would watch the Ed Sullivan Show. And what was the name of that little mouse that would sit on it? Popo Gijo. And what would he say at the end of the show? Remember? Eddie, kiss me goodnight. Remember? And we would pop popcorn. And there would be nobody calling us on a cell phone. In fact, the only phone they called you on was in 4 colors. And it was Prescott 775. Remember Prescott? And it would be a party line, or it would be a, what do they call that? A second line downstairs or whatever. I don't know. When you guys think of it, just shout it out. But we would have beige, yellow, green, or black. That was it. And then they said it was a red phone. I said that was the bat phone. When I filled that application out, Oh, that wasn't an application, it was a 3x5 card. And every one of you know what I'm talking about because you banked that. Then after it became Standard Federal, they went out of business, or they merged, or they sold, or whatever they did, it became Manufacturers Bank. And after Manufacturers Bank, do you remember what it came? Comerica. So whatever happened to my 3x5 card? Who's got it? That's got some real important information. My name, my date of birth, Social Security number. And then I get into this law practice that I did, like I said, for about 30 years. Became a lawyer. I used to have these talks on my dad's produce truck about what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And we would have these talks because growing up in this Italian family that I did, he wanted to know what my dreams were, what my goals were. He wanted to make my life a lot better. He died in 96. My mom just died 2 weeks ago, 93. And I had the best parents, and I mean that sincerely. We're all very close. Fast forward this. I get a paper route. I'm still putting money at Standard Federal. They were still around. Now I go to college. I'll go through the grade school. We all went to St. Isaac Jogues. The nun used to say, how many more Lucido children are in this group? And then afterwards, I went to De La Salle High School and then went to college, Macomb. We all stayed local. I'm getting to a point, trust me. I want you to remember what times were then because nobody got really scammed. You got pickpocketed. You got robbed. Nobody really took advantage of compromising our electronic data that would go ahead then and steal all of our money. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, as I got older and as I did this law practice and became a legislator in the House of Representatives and the Senate, I put laws together when I was there that would protect seniors. And one of them is called the Financial Transaction Act that I put in because I knew the financial people had all our money. Let me explain to you. As I made my money, I gave it to a brick and mortar building like you all did. As I made my money, we started buying annuities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. As I made my money, we went into IRAs if we were self-employed. And in all this time, I say to myself, the only money I really have is inside my pocket with a broccoli strap that I still use today that I learned about in the Eastern market, which was to hold my money. Okay? But this is what I got. Everything else is where? Those insurance companies, those stocks and bonds, mutual funds, banking, is all the financial. And they set the rules on us. Do you know that? You see, as I opened up the second bank account when I got into practice at Comerica Bank, they told me I couldn't fill it out on a 3x5 card anymore. I need to go to a computer, and I need to go ahead and put my name, my date of birth, my Social Security number, and my address. Everything that the Patriot Act says I have to do, because that act is enshrined in our banking law. But there's something else that they did. They went ahead then and asked me for the following. They went ahead and asked me to put down now where I live and do I own my own home. They asked me, do I own any stocks or bonds? If so, what's the amount and what brokerage house do I have it at? And if you didn't fill that out, there'd be a red block that would come out and wouldn't let you put anything else on it. And then they'd ask me, do you have any retirement funds? 401k, IRA. And then they asked me for my email address. And they asked me for my cell phone. And you're wondering today, wait a minute, under the Patriot Act you said, Lucido, all I have to fill out is those 4 things. That's right. That's what the federal government says. Well, then why am they asking me for all of this? I'll tell you why. Because they sell your information. And now I want you to turn on this handout I gave everybody. If you don't have it, you better get it, because it's going to be the first part of this little lecture. I want you to turn to page 3. Page 3. Everybody there? It says, beware, banks sell your information. You all there? Good. On the very bottom, I want to read to you this. You just follow along. To limit our sharing, it says, please note, if you are a new customer, we can begin sharing your information 30 days from the date we sent this notice. New customers, 30 days, we're going to start sharing your information. When you are no longer our customer, we'll continue to share your information as described. So after you're no longer a customer, they're going to continue to share your information. Sounds fair, doesn't it? Not at all. Here's why. You can opt out, but that's in fine print, and my eyes don't see so good anymore. And if you opt out, then they're not allowed to do this. But all these years that you filled out that application, that they now have scanned into their system, they've been selling your information. Because I was wondering how in the hell these people got my number. Or better yet, how in the hell did they get my email? Let's take it a step further. Why are they putting this trash in my mailbox? It says, how would you like to come to Bermuda? That's when I turned over 60. They started putting that stuff in my mailbox that I needed to go take a vacation somewhere, like Las Vegas, or go to Miami, Florida. Or better yet, would you like to drive a BMW? This ain't going to fit in no BMW, I tell you that right now. So what I'm going to try to tell you is, they're selling your information, and we're the ones that gave them all the information. And then when there's a data breach, as the officers and I talked about, it's our problem, not theirs. They just got under the code, notify you. So I put a bill in, and I said, we're no longer opted in. I can't remember what day of the week it was, but I can sure as tell you who came into my office. When I was in Lansing, I threw the bill in and said, we are not going to be guinea pigs anymore. We are not going to allow you just to willy-nilly just start transferring our information, selling it, conveying it. Because after they go ahead and push this button, send, who's it sent to? What country are they in? How secure is that data? How am I doing, Eric? That's what I thought. So what happens is this. We have leveraged nothing and gained nothing from giving them that information. I'll never forget what I did recently. I've done over 150 of these things, these little seminars. And why I did it is, if I can educate you and get the books in the library and in the police department, if I can get the books over in to the senior centers, and they read this book that I made, they'll have a chance to arm themselves with some defense about doing this. So next time they tell you to fill out your application, you want to open up and buy, what do they call those things? Treasury bill. And you got to go give all this information. Is your house paid off? How many children you have? Better yet, what kind of car do you drive? I love that one. I walk. I fool around and make goofy at this. And I go ahead and I print the application. And I sit down and I take a red magic marker and go like this on the pages and give them the 5 things. And I said, I'd like to open up a CD, or I'd like to get a treasury. Here's what you need under the law, and here's my money. Do you want it? Why didn't you do it on the computer? Because it won't let me go to the next page without going ahead and filling this crap out. Is everybody understanding this? Next time you go get a credit card, try to fill it out on paper. They're going to tell you got to go online. Next time you go ahead, because they want you to get Disney points or something, they'll tell you. It has nothing to do with Disney. Okay? They make billions of dollars every year, our financial world, selling your information. You see, if I was going to sell my goods, I want to know, I'm going to offer vacation condos. I need the person 65 years old or older. I need retirees, if they can get that. I need to make sure they have their home paid off. Or I need to make sure that they have discretionary income coming in so they can go ahead and enjoy these timeshares. And you start to wonder, who's sending me this crap in my mailbox? So realize this is how they're getting it. They have the right to sell it. What can I do to stop this? It's called opt-out. You can go to your banks tomorrow. No, you can't. They're not open Saturdays anymore. Standard Federal was. And where'd you bank when you guys started banking? Was it Detroit Bank and Trust? Manufacturers?
No, manufacturer.
Manufacturers, yeah. See, did you watch Saturday night at the movies too?
Yes.
I did too. They had great movies on then. And what I'm going to let you know is this. You can ask them to print out what they have in the file. Let's see if they even have a file on you. They've downloaded all of this, uploaded all of this, and sent it somewhere in space. They call it what? The cloud, space. And I don't know how to get it back. But I do know this, I want to opt out. I don't want you to sell any more of my information. If I didn't check the box, because you may not have had a box back then, don't touch my information. Now, when you go for a loan, they have to ask you those things. They want to know those things. But after I'm retired, or better yet, when I want to put money into a bank, why do you want to know all this extra stuff? And you can play with the banker, because everybody's a vice president when you walk in. I mean credit unions too. I don't want to. My sister-in-law is the head of compliance of Genesis Credit Union. And she's taught me all about algorithms and everything else that helped me over the years do what I do. So let me give you another for instance, okay? Once they've got your email, once they've got your cell phone, they go ahead now and get an ask from people that want to solicit a certain age group, a certain economic and social status, because only those people can afford this stuff, right, of certain things. So they want to know net worth right away. And if the net worth's $500,000, $200,000, whatever it is, they want only those individuals that have the houses paid off, have a discretionary income, and have a net worth of X. And now they're starting to go ahead and they're targeting zip codes. So now they get a patch of people, like the city of Warren has a couple, 3, 4 zip codes. Is that about right, Commissioner? And then they go ahead and target areas. And what they did is, I want you to turn back all the way to page 6. This just happened up in Ray Township. So the scammers call up the banks, because the banks don't care who they sell it to, because they've got another company that's actually, that profits to the bank, but they set them up in these silos, and they go ahead and they put them up there so they can sell out your information and make more profits than they could when they gave you the mortgage for the first house. That was chicken feed compared to selling your information. Look what they did in Ray Township. They bought the zip codes for Ray Township, and they went ahead and they put online, hey, you want to support your fire and your first responders, don't you? So here's a shirt that we're going to give you. It was originally $39.95, but for the low price of $24.95, $15 savings, you can go ahead and get us, show your support by buying the shirt. They sent this out to everybody in Ray Township. And the first thing I do is, I support them. This is nice. I wear the shirt proudly. I'm a Ray Township resident. I'm not. I'm in Shelby now, but. And as a result, they started selling but do you think they ever got these? Because you can put your credit card right away. Add to cart, they call it. Add to what card? They never sent any of these shirts. It was a big scam. There were hundreds and hundreds of these shirts sold. Now, how did they get your credit card? You gave it to them. You want to support your police and fire. They don't do business like this. They don't. They don't call you on the telephone. So this is how they do it. They targeted it. So when you see some stuff going on, let me show you another one. Anybody hear of an app called Spoof? Write that down, page 30. Page 30, everybody, in the booklet. SPOOF. Should never have allowed that app to exist. It should be outlawed. I can put on their Warren Police Department, and I can go ahead and call your phone, because the Spoof app will allow me to use the Warren main number to put into the Spoof app and call as if Warren Police is calling your house, calling your cell phone. So if I bought your cell phones already, and now I want to target in Warren, and I say, hi. This is Detective Corporal Jeffrey Graus from the Warren Police Department. Oh, and you're going to pick it up because when Warren Police call, you're concerned about what? What's going on? Why is the police calling me? It's not a good time to pick your phone up. But anyway, no, it is. It is. It's important. Anyway, you pick your phone up. The spoof app will allow you to go ahead and put the Warren Police Department in. It'll put Macomb County Sheriff's Department. This happened here in Macomb. The spoof app you can buy at your app store. Does anybody not have a cell phone in here? I thought so. These are computers, everybody. Okay? They're acting as computers. They're probably monitoring every one of us when we're walking around, too, and where we're going and what we're doing. So what I'm going to tell you is, if you turn to page 1, right here, the crooks, can I use that word, Eric? Is that legitimate? Okay, good. The crooks were going around up and down the town, seeing who had a keypad on their garage doors and seeing who had a lockbox. Because a lot of people use lockboxes when they go to Florida, and they put them on their door because they have people coming in to take care of their houses. And they push the little code and get the key out and go in the house and everything. I don't know about those lock boxes. What do you think, police? I think they smash them right off the door and lock themselves right in if they don't want to break a window. But at any rate, what I'm going to let you know is this. They went ahead and cased up and down the neighborhood, found out who had it. Now they call up. And how did they get my phone number? Well, they bought the information. They wanted all the phone numbers and all the data, anything they could get their hands on from Warren residents. But in this case, they did it up in the north end of town. And they said, hi, this is Deputy so-and-so, Macomb County Sheriff, and we know that you've got a keypad for your garage door. And instead of us breaking down your garage door or breaking in your front door to get to you in case of an emergency or a fire, we'll just go ahead and use the pad to go in and without hampering or hindering your house. Well, a lot of people that are vulnerable, that's what they're called, vulnerable. Gullible is what I call it. My mom used to say I was gullible when I was a kid. We'll go ahead and give them the code. And you won't believe it, but they will. And they're going right on in. So what's this thing called, Lucido? It's a spoof app. Be careful. Every time you look at that phone. You got a phone book inside your phones. The only time you should be answering that telephone is if you know somebody in your phone book. Why would you want to pick the phone up other than that? I don't want to be bothered. And as a result, when you go ahead and pick the phone up, now they've got the hook in you, and they're going to see if they can reel you in. Don't answer the phone. If it's very important and it's coming from somebody else that's not in your phone book, they're going to leave in a message. They're going to text you. It's just the way we operate today. Don't answer the phone. 2, how many people have a mailbox out at the street? When I was growing up in St. Clair Shores, when my mom and dad moved from Detroit, my dad's cousin bricked the house. And he told my dad, I'm going to put a mailbox, a little slot with a thing that says mail, and the mailman or mailwoman will open it up, slide it in, push it in. It'll go right there into your closet where you put the coats, and they'll be going in a box at night. And if the package is too big, they'll put it in between the doors. Couldn't get our mail. Couldn't take it out of there. And as a result, I remember what happened. My mom and my dad never had any mail taken from the mailbox. But today, I got to get out in front of my house. There's this mailbox, and you open it up, and the mail's in there. And every month, I get a bank statement. You get a bank statement? You guys are old school like me. You like the paper stuff, too, that you can look at? That you can slice it open, and you can go look at the numbers and everything? You're online, right? We'll get to that in a minute. Paper people over here? Okay, so here's what happens. Every month I get this bank statement. I can't wait to open it up, see what's going on here. Really what I'm looking for is to identify if somebody stole my money yet or not. So I open it up, and what does it have? It has how much I have in the bank, how much I spent. It has the number of the check that every individual check that I wrote. Here we go again. It also has little pictures of the check. and my signature. And you know what's on the bottom of your check? Your routing number. What else do you get? You get a credit card statement every month? You do it online. Paper? Paper? Online? Okay. That comes in. Now it knows what, credit card I'm holding. It's got the name of how it's titled on the credit card. Same on my bank account, how it's titled on my bank account. Peter and Anne Marie Lucido. That's how it's titled. See, they don't make the title up. You give them the title by telling who you want on the bank account. It also shows my purchases. It also shows my purchases on the credit card. How about that Mr. Amazon showing up on the porch every day? My kids, one of them's getting married this October. Thank God I'm starting to slowly get them out of there. But I'm blessed. I'll have them home as long as they want to. But the Amazon truck shows up. And I remember when I was up in the legislature, I said, well, wait a minute. They're stealing these packages off the porch like it's nothing. And if you're not home, people are buying ring cams, they call. They have cameras out there looking at the porch, but they're wearing hoods and they're parking their car down the block and they're helping themselves to the package and everything, right? You know what kind of information's in the package, in the packaging slip? Sensitive, confidential information. Forget about losing the personal property that's in there. It's the information. What kind of credit card you used. And I'm telling you, it's not like it's not sophisticated, it's open and shut. But every day this is going on. And I keep telling my kids, every time you buy online, you have an Amazon account, or better yet, you use your credit card, right? Now, when I was growing up, do you know what hand-me-downs are? Do you have hand-me-downs? I did too, a lot of them. So I had my brother Joe, my brother Paul, then me and my brother Tom, plus 4 sisters. And my brother Paul, I would get his hand-me-downs. He was an older one than me, 2 years. He had a bigger foot than I did and a wider foot. And I went ahead and I'd get his shoes. And my mom would go out to the produce truck and she would get the tomato wrapper, which was the crepe paper that was around the tomatoes in the wintertime so they wouldn't get frostbitten. Remember? They were green crepe paper. It's a little sheet like a piece of toilet paper that was wrapping a tomato. And she'd bring in 6 or 8 of these and unwrap the tomato, bring them in and shove them in the shoe. Well, my brother had a triple E, and he was another foot or one size larger than me. So I'm walking into school like this in grade school, like I got polio in my legs and stuff. And the nuns would look at me and say, what's wrong with this kid? Well, here's what was wrong. That's how families did this. Shirts with holes in it or whatever, you got the shirt. That's your hand-me-down. And you enjoy it because we're not getting you nothing new here. So as I got older, I wanted a pair of shoes that would fit because my feet were ruined with the triple E. And as a result, I'm scrolling online, like you all do, and these shoes, Johnson and Murphy, show up. I says, man, I got to have myself a pair of those. And they were on sale. And I wanted them shoes. So what did I do? I hurried up and put my name in there, my address, everything else. And I gave it to my daughter, and I gave her at that time my credit card. I said, Daddy can't see the numbers here. Can you put it in for the phone so I can order these shoes? She goes, Dad, this is a fraudulent website. I said, what the heck you talking about? It's Johnson Murphy. This is no website that you want to go on. Lakeside has Johnson Murphy. I picked the phone up. I call. I said, listen, you guys got these shoes in there. You got them on the website right now that's not our website, sir. Those shoes are not that price. I wonder how many people were putting their credit cards in there and as fast as they could, giving the 3-digit number, the expiration date, and pushing send. No shoes were ever going to show up. There's more scams today than ever because of the super informational highway. That's what they called it at one time. It's the super sales highway now. And I want you to remember, when you buy online, how do you know if the site is fraudulent? Take a good look and see if there's a return, any kind of address, any kind of phone number. See if there's terms and conditions you can get into to talk about refunds and or returns and exchanges. If it doesn't have that, congratulations. You're going down the super informational fraud highway, and it's going to happen to you. Any questions up to this point? Okay. You've all heard about Google regarding things that go on. They're called algorithms. Algorithms are done every single day. On our phones, when you stop to look at something, it is going to go ahead and start showing ads for things that you have spent more than a few seconds on in your cell phone. You ever see it? All of a sudden, you say the word drapes, and now for the next hour, you see drape ads coming at you. It's like, what the heck? How do they know that? Because they're picking up not only algorithms, but your voice. What's that thing called that you says turn the lights on and turn the lights off? Alexa. Who's listening, Alexa? Something's going weird here. Alexa, turn the light on. Or I say something to my wife, and all of a sudden the thing's answering me. It's like, wait a minute. So all of this stuff going on is dangerous. Turn to page 2. This was one a buddy of mine got. His name is Don Dansbury, and his name is there. And this comes from a Jason Smith, and it says to Don Dansbury on Friday, April 28th, your request to open up a PayPal business account is processed. The account has been verified on your social security number, and you can now accept credit card payments without hassle. We have charged merchant fees of $249.99 towards your checking account. It will reflect on your bank statement in 45 hours. Now in bold it says, if you haven't signed up for the PayPal business account, call us immediately, as this may be a case of identity theft. The scammer is saying this may be a case of identity theft. What do you think you're going to do once you get this email? Going to do anything? Somebody's going to take money out of my account unless I do something. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump on the phone. I'm going to say, and they'll probably answer it, Jason Smith. I didn't order a PayPal business account. Sir, I have the information here. It's clear. You are Don Dansbury. This is your email address. Your account is at Comerica. Yeah, all that's true, but I never ordered this. Sir, since we have the order in already, in 48 hours, we're going to pull the money out of your account. And your account's over at Comerica. They said it twice now. And this kind of stuff is going on. And guess what? Your last 4 are on all of the stuff that you put together. Yeah, that's my last 4, but listen, I didn't order this stuff. Sir, it's your account. Verify with us your account. Maybe it's somebody else's. My account's, and they got them. And you're saying, it's impossible. I would never do that. You may not, but there's people that come to these classes, and they've done it. So instead of going ahead and clicking these emails open as fast as you can because you're so anxious to find out what's going on, how do you know when there's a bad email? One that's going to get you in trouble by clicking. What do I do with it? Do I put it in trash? Do I put it in spam? What do I do with it? Am I supposed to click anything on? Start thinking, everybody. We are into the world of technology that we didn't know was going to happen, and it's happening all over the place. As fast as the mind used to be, the scammers are getting in front of it faster and faster. I want to just go through a couple more, and then I want to get to the book. Geek Squad, everybody knows what that is. That's that computer place that says, you know what, they're calling up now, and guess what? They use the spoof app. That's 3 or 4 times I said it. It's important. The spoof app is the one that will fraudulently let you pick up the phone or do something even crazier. And they say, you know, there's a virus in your computer. Well, every one of us communicates with our children, our grandchildren, our businesses, our banks, as well as the outside world, even our doctors. All of our appointments are made by email. All of our confirmations are done by email. Our reservations for restaurants, all this stuff, email. hell, it's beyond the thought that I've ever seen before. And as a result, they call up, or no, they just send an email and say, you have a virus in your computer, we can fix it, this is what we need. Give us your credit card, it'll be $300 and some odd dollars, $369. Put it in there and we can do this remotely. Now they'll call you. If they got you inside the net, they're going to throw you in the boat. Once they call you, they say, look, for us to fix it, we need to get your password. And the virus will go ahead and ruin your computer, and then you'll have to bring your computer in, but we can do this all over the, once I get in, I can do this all remotely. Understand? And this has suckered a lot of people in because they said, hell, if I don't have my computer, I can't talk to my grandchildren, I can't talk to my daughter, I can't talk to my son. And there's another one that you'll take with you today, and there's some other information about credit cards, and be wary. But I talked to you a little bit earlier about algorithms. And right now, algorithms in our bank accounts, they're like this, and our credit cards. Real straight line, nothing hitting. And if we go ahead and make a deposit, it'll go like this. And if we would do a withdrawal, it'll go like this. So there was this lady that she got a call from her supposedly grandson and says, you know, is this little Tony? Yeah. And little Tony says he's in the Macomb County Jail because they used the spoof app. Shows Macomb County Jail. And they wanted so much money to get him out of jail, but if you don't want to bring the money now, he'll stay in jail all weekend. What do you think Grandma's going to do? She's going to get in the car, going to run to the bank as fast as she can, and she's going to do something. She's going to get money, whatever they ask, to get him out of jail. And they're going to meet her at the jail, but it won't be inside the jail, it'll be outside the jail. They don't want any COVID inside, or they don't want to get Grandma sick. Grandma goes there. Now, Grandma's algorithms are like this. Every single month, her check for Social Security gets deposited, and it goes like this then. And it does it on the first of the month or the second of the month. Her pension check goes in, if you got a pension. Goes like this. Grandma used to bring in the Social Security check, give it, like my dad did, to Mary over at Standard Federal, and say, Mary, you know what to do. Give my dad back $300, the rest of it will go in the bank. He'd bring the $300 home, give my mom so much of it to buy groceries or whatever they needed there, and that's how they lived. In this case, Grandma's going to get money to bail her grandson Tony out of jail. And as a result, the Mary is at the counter there and says, oh, Grandma, how you doing? Tell me something. You're asking for $10,000. Are you going on vacation? No. Grandma never does that. Are you buying new furniture? No. New car? No. Well, what's going on? Well, I'm embarrassed, but little Tony's in jail and I need to bond him out of there. He's in there all weekend because the spoof app said Macomb County Jail. Mary says, why don't you call Tony on his cell phone? I would, but he's in jail. Why don't you try it? And Tony picks the phone up. Yeah, it's me, Grandma. You're not in jail? No, Grandma, I'm not in jail. You see? That spoof app should be outlawed, but it's not. It's not, and I've asked the legislators in the Congress and the Senate at that big place in Washington, what's the purpose of this app? All it's doing is ripping people off because it's spoofing them. And that's why they're picking up their phone. And you can go into your app store, you all know it, and put that word in there, and you can buy the app too, to spoof. Should be outlawed. I put together this book because of the Grandma Tony situation of having people take money out, because if they can get into the account, and there was more scams about lady lost her husband, she was lonely, she wanted online, it was a Christian dating site. Those are my favorite. They say prayers for me after they go ahead and take all my money. And the guy was in Florida, and they had this nice talk every day, back and forth. And the guy says, look, I'd really like to come up and visit with you, but I need this operation, and I don't have all the money. My insurance doesn't cover it properly down here like it does over there in Michigan, and as a result, can you loan me some money and I'll pay you back? $10,000. She lost. The guy never called again. But these are the things that are happening. So I put together a book and put together a law about, we have a duty to at least call the police in a bank when you know your customer's money could be at risk. And how do you know that? Mary knew me real well when I'd bring my $5 in. She knew exactly what to do with my passbook. She knew exactly what to do as I got older and was doing what I was doing. And then when I got into business, Comerica knew exactly what to do every time I go in there every month. The reality is they're not going to do anything unless they're ordered to by law. So there is this financial liability reform that I put in. And I know the Attorney General has taken it a step further, but it's good. It's in a positive way because I said you have a duty to ascertain. We have adult protective services. Why do we even have this if adult protection isn't going to be protecting the adults? So all I'm asking is, you can make a small inquiry without offending one of your customers. And two is, after she gets bilked out of all her money, because now we've got this online gaming that these grandsons and these sons and these daughters and granddaughters and everybody else is online all night gaming, they're going through the money and now they're going to grandma. Had another one that come in the office. It said, I'm embarrassed. My grandson said, and we don't investigate. That's the police's job. Everybody understand what the police do. They do all the investigation, all the evidence gathering. They take the statements, they do what they got to do, and then they bring us the stuff if they feel that there's a law that's been broken. Okay? They ask for a warrant in a law that's been broken. And we review it, and if the elements of the crime are there, we sign the warrant, and they go get it swear-to'd, and the judge goes ahead and says, pick them up. Or they may have them in custody. But as a result, this book was necessary. The laws were necessary because little Tony now wasn't in jail. Little Tony gambled all night and lost money and went to Grandma this time and said, Grandma, I need $10,000. I'm starting a new business. Oh, that's great. Grandma, I know it's better for me because if I go get a job, I can only make this, but this business I'm starting, I'm going to make. How much you need, Tony? $10,000. Grandma doesn't even know the name of the business, where it's at, what the blueprint looks like, no records of anything, and gives him $10,000. He's gambling some more, he loses some more money, he goes to Grandma and says, if I had 10 more thousand, I think the business will be ready to go. 10 more thousand. Eventually, Grandma's going to be bilked out of everything. Will be bilked out of everything, because she's not going to know when to stop, and Tony's not going to know when to stop. So we put together this book. I want you to now open the book. I got in office in 2021. Seems like 20 years I've been in this office. Because there's been an enormous amount of sophisticated crimes that I didn't see as a lawyer for over 30 years. And I sure as hell couldn't have expected this to happen. And when I wrote this book, here's how I wrote it. I wrote it with an idea that says, why don't you tell the public what the crime is, what the warning signs are, and how to prevent it. So if you look at page 5, it shows in here identity theft all the way on top. Everybody there? And it says warning signs, and it's got the little red check marks. And then down below, it's got the preventative steps in green. Red, stop, realize what's going on. Green means go. This is what you can do to protect yourself. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read to you all this, because that would be futile in the line of teaching. But we do it by way of examples, because then you go back, and this book takes a half an hour to read, or if you're a slow reader like me, it takes 45 minutes to an hour, because I like to enjoy each and every word. And as a result, the telemarketing fraud. Remember, we talked already, why would you answer your cell phone unless it's in your phone book? Why? Everybody has a phone book. Even a flip phone has a phone book. Because that's what the telemarketer wants you to do, is pick up the phone. And when the telemarketer has you pick up the phone, they're going to go fishing, and they're going to try to get you to talk about paying them instead of you getting paid. And then the preventative steps. But I want to go after one that's really interested. In the city of Warren, do you need to first register, crime commissioner? Do you first need to register if you're going to solicit at the doors? Okay, got to get a permit. I love that. I think every city, township, and village should make you go to them and get a permit or a lanyard and be able to go to do the doors. Otherwise, you shouldn't be allowed at the doors. So I'm going to tell you what happened. There was this truck that pulled up, because I said I live in Shelby. And it was a white truck. There was no signs on it. Gentleman gets out, and it was about, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, we had a bad storm come through, a real bad one, where the trees were down, and Shelby's all trees, and trees down in the street. You couldn't get through the street, anything else. And leaves were all over the place. It was bad. A lot of homes, power lines, everything. And he comes and knocks on the door, and, you know, I used to knock doors with the produce when I was helping my dad, so I go ahead and answer the door. I'm one of them guys. Can I help you? Yeah. I'd see that the trees are all down on the street and everything. We're coming through. I got a tree business. We're going to remove the trees that are down, and we're going to cut the limbs of the ones that are half fallen, and we're going to do it all. And today we're going to give a 25% special, and here's why. Because if we're in the area with our equipment and our tools already, I'm going to bring my crew in, and I'm going to get right on through, and we can save you some money. I'm thinking in my mind, okay, makes sense, right? So I said, before we get started, okay, because I didn't call my tree guy yet, hold on a second. I took the phone out, and I put it to the camera, and I said, here, take a picture with, here, smile. And then I went down my steps and went to his truck, and I took a picture of his license plate. And then I took a picture of his whole truck. And then I took a picture of his VIN number right there in the front window. Now, if the guy's still on my porch and not getting in the truck and getting the hell out of there, I know he may be legit. But I got to go a step farther. So everybody go to page 30 and get ready to write. Number 1, always ask to see if they got a business card. So ask for a business card. Number 2, outline the scope of work which is to be done. Outline, this is where we take the notes, if you got the pen. Because you want to see something in writing and signed. Number 3, because he told me $750, because you got 25% off, $1,000. Number 3, see if he's licensed. You should be able to see a license and take a picture. So you keep it all. You don't even need a copy machine. Xerox, they used to call it. Number 4, you want a certificate of insurance from them. Certificate of insurance for liability. Liability means this, and I'll get to it in a minute. And the last thing is a workers' comp, because he says he's bringing other guys. If you don't get those things, get them off your property, and here's why. He said he was going to go cut the limb. If that limb falls on your house and breaks your roof, you're not covered for that under your homeowners. Do you understand that? Your homeowner says wind, rain, hail, sleet, lightning. It doesn't say somebody's work where the branch comes down and breaks the house. That's you then. You got to pay out of your pocket, and that truck ain't going to be there anymore. What about that 19-year-old kid that's up on that tree and falls out? If he doesn't have workers' comp on that kid and he gets hurt, you may be paying the rest of your life. He's your employee then. What about licenses? Don't you think it's a good idea that they know how to do this kind of work, or they took the time to get a license? If you're not paying attention to this, because I see too much of this with HVAC guys, too much with plumbers, if they're not qualified to do the work they're going to do, they could ruin your house. And there's nothing you can do. You let them in. And anybody that comes into your house, follow them everywhere. Move your valuables out of there. My dad had a caregiver come in a couple days a week, and you don't know who these people are, but I got to tell you, we had some angels in the house. And I saw my ma, you know, she's up there now, and she was home then, and she's got her purse on the table. She's got her checking book in there. She's got money. She's got her keys. She hasn't driven the car in 4 years. It's in the garage. And my dad hasn't gotten out of that bed to walk. I said, Ma, what's the keys doing there? Put them away. What's the checkbook doing in there? And the valuables, like the jewelry and stuff, was in the bedroom. Like strangers are in the house. So when I said, Ma, when you're letting somebody in, you got to put all this stuff away. Now, when they're going to go fix your furnace, you're going to let them walk through the house and this and that? Because you don't know who they are. And tomorrow they may be coming back to take whatever they want. So those are just little tidbits that people don't realize who's coming in their house, but we all might need a caregiver one day. And as a result, I'm concerned. If you look at page 6, we talked about mail and internet fraud. 6, home improvements. I just gave you a thumbnail. You're going to read it. 7, caregiver fraud. And I'm going to give you some tidbits. On 7, you says remove your information from the marketing list. I told you you have to go opt out. And that means credit card, that means bank account, that means 401k, IRA, opt out. They made you fill out all those applications. You need to opt out. Well, how do I do that? You walk into your insurance agent and say, any forms that I filled out, can I get a copy of? I would like to opt out. Well, I don't have those forms. Well, where are they at? Well, we downloaded them and sent them to home office. Okay. Then you get a piece of paper out and said, I'd like to opt out. You can't sell my information or transfer it, and have the person sign it, date it, and put the time on it. Sign it, date it, and put the time on it. What are you making me sign this for? You made me sign a lot of things. It's your turn. Now, if the breach occurs after that date, you got something to go back on, at least to look at. When did the breach occur? I told you not to send my stuff out. And next, if you look at what I gave you there on page 7, everybody pull it to your eyes. You can have the do not call registry. I gave you an email and a phone number. Do not call list. Opt out of credit reporting agencies. There's the phone number and there is the email. Credit cards. Let me tell you what you can do, and then you can go ahead and freeze your credit report. What's that mean, Pete? $1,000, that's it. Anything above $1,000, I want you to call me. You can put that on your credit report. Anybody tries to activate more than $1,000, you got to get a hold of me. So if you're going to go out of the country and start seeing the world, you want to go ahead and put a limit on this thing, because it gets nasty when you're abroad. And when I went abroad, because my little girl worked at the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, I would have never even visited that place. That wasn't on my bucket list. But she got me to Italy. She did, because it was so quick to get on one of those trains. Phew, 1 hour, I'm in Italy. Phew, I walk across the street in Geneva, I'm in France. But I had to get a credit card, because she said, Dad, in France, they're going to use the francs. Dad, in Italy, they're going to use the euro. Dad, when you go over here to wherever it was, they got something else. Funny colored money and everything out here. Use a credit card, do the exchange rate. Now I'm playing risk, because those credits are abroad. And I don't know how I'd fix that, because I'm out of the country now. But apparently they do it every day, don't they? Okay, I don't need to talk to you about the law regarding wills and trust and everything, but I'll tell you what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to look at page 29, strike that, 30, page 30, I keep saying it. I gave you 3 places to call for legal advice for free. One is the State Bar of Michigan. If you're on page 30, you'll see it. They give you a free consultation, Clinton Township, Lakeshore Legal Aid Council and Advocacy Law Line. Lastly, the Macomb County Bar. If you call any of those numbers, they will give you a lawyer that specializes in the field of what you're looking for. It doesn't matter what it is. And they will give you the number of the lawyer that you can call to get a free consultation. 30 minutes. It's a good thing. Now, what happens, Pete, if 2 of the lawyers tell me one thing and one tells me another thing? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So, I don't know what you're going to do. I've heard that before, and I says, I don't know what to tell you. Go with your gut instinct, but you know what? When I practiced, I made sure I didn't commit malpractice, so I knew what I was talking about. Let me keep going. Somebody says, Pete, should I get a will? A will is nothing but a roadmap. It tells everybody what's going on afterwards. When I die, appoint this person as my executor or personal representative, they call it. Do this, do that, give it to these people. You're going to go through probate and spend money. Don't do it. Next, guardianships. Conservator. Page 13. Guardian is on your right hand. You can take a note if you want. Conservator is on your left hand. Now's the time to take a note. Guardian equals physical needs. Guardians equal physical needs. Guardians equal physical needs. That means food, clothing, shelter. It means medical. Those are physical. Guardians equal physical needs, food, clothing, shelter, medical. Conservator, or the conservator then takes care of the money. Conservator equals money. You can have two different people. You don't need the same person. I like two different people. When I was younger, my sister was 9 years old. She's the oldest when I was born. Remember, my mom had kids almost a year and a half apart. My sister changed my diaper while my mom was doing those cloth diapers in the toilet and putting in the washer and the dryer, hanging them outside. It looked like a circus going on out there with all those diapers. And I said to my sister, I want you to be my guardian. You did such a great job changing my diaper when I was a baby. When I get old, you already got the experience. She said, you're full of something. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But you want to get somebody that can take care of you, that you know will have the love and compassion for you, and more importantly, that will have your best interest at stake when they're watching your money. Well, who's that? Good luck. I've seen too many families build their own families out of their money. If you keep going, I'm going to give you one more bit of advice, and then I'm going to have the police come up. Choosing a nursing home. I wanted to put this in here because I'll tell you why. We're living longer. We got better machinery, equipment, technology, medicine, whatever else is going on. And a nursing home is not a nursing home that we knew it when we were growing up. Now they call it independent living, assisted living, memory care. And we all know what independent means. It means I can get up, I can go, I can do this, and go back there at night. Assisted living, I need somebody to help me routinely. Memory care, well, I need to have 24-hour. And I wanted to show you that when I got married, I had to buy a house. 4 months before I got married, my wife is saying to me, you know, we got to live somewhere. I said, yeah, well, I kind of like it in my house, and you can stay at yours if you want, but no, I'm going to go find us a house. So I was picking raspberries up in Grand Blanc. That's where her grandpa lived, and I wanted to show respect, so I'm helping him pick raspberries and whatever else. And he picked some rhubarb, and he gave it to me to eat. So I kind of wiped it off, and I'm eating it. It was the most bitter tasting thing I've ever tasted in my life. And I'm thinking, I got to do this. And I'm choking it down, and the phone rings, and Grandma says, Anne-Marie wants you home right away. I think she found a house. I'm going to get to the point here. So I go through it and everything, and I get home, and I say to my dad, she kind of likes this house. What do I do? She loves the house? Loves the house. Loves the way it's set up, this, that, and everything. She loves the house? Yeah, buy the house. What do you mean, buy the house? I don't know. I didn't see it during the day. She loves the house, right? Buy the house. So you're going to be out all working all the time. She's going to be home raising babies and, you know, probably quitting her job someday or whatever. She's going to be in that house a lot more than you are, so buy the house and make her happy. When you get home, she's happy. Well, that ain't going to sell me, Dad. Next day, before I went to court, I'm knocking on the neighbor's doors at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the guy across the street from where I bought the house had a robe on. He goes, can I help you with something? I said, well, you know, how's the neighborhood here? Is it pretty good? You know, is it a safe neighborhood? Is it secure? Is noise going on? He goes, what the hell are you asking me this for? It's 7 o'clock and I'm thinking about getting a house in this neighborhood. What do you think? He goes, my wife and I have been here 16 years. We raised our kids here. They go to the school over there. We go to the church over here. They got shopping. It's a good neighborhood. I says, is there any people that live on the block that may not be so good? He said, no, they're pretty good on this block. Thanks. I did a couple more. I felt closure. And the reality is when you pick a nursing home, go in the morning if you're going to put somebody. Go in the afternoon. Go in the evening. Talk to everybody. Talk to the staff. so that you're not getting involved with a contract that you're saying, why did I do this? And additionally, one more thing. The next page, it's in blue. It's on page 22. It says right there that you can check with the Michigan Department of Licensing. Sorry, I'm going so fast. Second paragraph down on page 22. LARA, L-A-R-A. You can call them up and you can ask them, is there any complaints against this nursing facility? What are they? So you can call Lara and find that out. So if you're going to go in for rehab one day after they do your hip or your knee, or you fall one day and you break that hip and you got to go to rehab, you can check out that rehab facility where you're going to go by calling Lara. Other than that, I think you're on your own to take as many days, weeks, months. 3 things I want you to remember. I make these little things available, and I did the short version because I want you to hear from Eric and I want you to hear from the police now. I do these out there in the streets. I committed to doing this for a reason. Every time I walk out here, somebody says, I picked up some good stuff here. I want you to come and speak to my group over here. I'm coming. I don't care if it's after hours. I've done this in the nighttime. I've done it on the weekend. I've done it with the churches. I've done it with the groups and organizations because this is too important to me. You see that all of us, if we get all of our money taken, we could become a burden on the people that we raised, our children. That's the only place we got to look to. And as a result, anybody that gets bilked out of their money, if they don't have children or their children can't, they become a burden on the state. And therefore, we're going to end up paying for it anyways. So there's a reason I'm doing this. Lastly, I'm doing this also because I truly believe being a senior citizen and understanding what I saw in practice all these years and what I'm seeing now with the police, the cases that they're bringing in, we got a real fight to fight, guys. And finally, I just love the fact that I can educate somebody to do something positive before something bad happens to them. Is there any questions from me before? Yes, ma'am.
I was always a paranoid person, okay? There's reason for that.
It's okay.
We all had our backgrounds, okay? Now, what you're telling me is a lot of things I am aware of because I am paranoid, okay? All the things that you can be hacked and such. Now, my question is, how do you, have there been any studies done to see what is the percentage of people that do get hacked or in some of these areas do get that which happened, the worst that can happen to you?
Great question. You want to know, is there any data that has been extracted that says how many people have been hacked? The only way, and Eric's going to address that, but the only way that we know who's been hacked is if it's reported.
Okay.
If it's reported. If no one reports anything, no one knows about the percentage or keeps data. It's only if they report. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. The only thing that when you're talking, I think to myself, one has to live in a lot of fear, and that is not quality of life either. So I think one has to balance a little bit of that which is out there with what
We're going to get to it, Eric.
What the percentage of, is in reality.
Eric,
that's why I think AI might figure some of this out.
Eric is going to come up and he's going to go ahead. I got double microphone, don't I? Eric is going to come up and he's going to go ahead and he's going to give some stuff on that. I mean, AI, IA, everything else. I mean, they record your voice and they can get you on your telephone and all this. He's going to cover a little bit of that.
It can be used for good or bad.
It can be used for bad, believe me. When they say, "Are you Pete Lucido?" and I say, "Yes," and they record that. Now, this is where Pete Lucido said, "Yes, I'll buy that timeshare." I didn't say that. They asked me my name and I said yes. That's why don't answer the phone. Yes, sir.
I live in a senior apartment and I don't have a lot of belongings, and I need a will, and I don't have a lot of money to spend on attorneys. Are these numbers in the back of your book people that'll give me low cost?
100%. The Lakeshore Legal Aid, based on your income or your financials, they do free work.
Okay,
That's why I put them in too.
okay.
Who else? Go ahead.
How do you get somebody off your phone?
How do I get somebody, you hang up?
You've been on my phone for a long time.
Here's what happens. You don't have to pick it up, the line. If the person is calling you, bothering you, there's a law that says telephone harassment. You can call the police, and if the person shows a trail of how many times they've called and you told them not to bother you, it's called telephone harassment.
So what am I supposed to do?
Police. Police. That's telephone harassment. Stop bothering me. I don't want to talk to you. Don't call my number. And if you have to, sometimes you change your number, but that's not going to be good.
I was gonna go to the mayor, the new mayor.
You can also block that person, and the police will talk about that too. You can also block in your phone that number from being answered by you. Okay?
I can do that.
Yeah, works good. Anybody else had questions? All the way down. Yes, Commissioner.
So with the data breaches that have been happening, if you have a deceased loved one whose information was part of that data breach and their trust and/or their estate has not yet been closed, what can you do?
That's a fabulous question. So here we got, my dad passed away 4 years ago. My mom passed away 2 weeks ago. And we're still getting things, and I wonder how. The funeral home notifies Social Security that you are no longer alive. That's their duty under law. So whatever funeral home where the body is taken will notify Social Security, because when they prepare the death certificate, they need that data. That'll get taken care of that way. What about the banks and everything else? Sometimes it takes months before you start to transact. You may be able, because the power of attorney dies with you. That's gone. It dies at the time of death, the power of attorney that you get to transact. To open up the trust and making sure you got everything, it takes about a week to get a death certificate, or 2, sometimes 3. And they need a death certificate for you to start acting as the trustee. They want to make sure the initial trustee, like myself, I'm gone. And then my successor trustee is the one that takes over. But that's a whole day class. How can you stop it? You have to notify all of those individuals that have those accounts that the person is deceased and no transaction should be taking place, and it's a standard form letter. And most of the time, lawyers that do the administration will do that, but you can do it yourself. Follow up.
We already have the trust and the estate open. I mean, my grandparents have been deceased now for getting close to a year and a half, 2 years. But my concern is with the data breach that somebody might try to access their estate.
Okay. So what you can do is you can notify the people that are holding those dollars that any transaction needs to be first approved in writing, underscored, by the trustee or the trustee's successor. Because if you're the trustee and you die, you want to make sure that this thing continues on until the estate is finally closed. So really what you're doing is you're filing the tax return every year showing what the estate's still doing. It's still open, and it's still breathing, and it's still alive. That's a great question, though. Thank you.
My name is Detective Graus. I've been with the Warren Police Department for over 23 years. I recently, I've been doing it for obviously over 23 years. I've had multiple jobs at the department, but I am now the senior fraud investigator. So does everyone live in Warren? Is that safe to say? So if anything were to come up in your lives where you have to make a report, such as the ones we've talked about today, it's probably going to be filtered to me, to my desk, to my office. I get 95% of them now, unless I take one of my few days off. But most of those come to me just so we can have, a consistent analysis of everything that's going on. So I will be brief for you, but just to kind of reiterate what everyone has said today, every case we get at the Warren Police Department, every detective, there's multiple desks. You know, it looks like your typical office with cubicles and, you know, a bunch of people working in one office. Well, if you walk into the detective bureau, every case file is a yellow folder. And this detective might have 3 yellow folders on his desk. He's staying on top of things. This detective over here might have 20 yellow folders because they've been super busy and they can't close things out for one reason or another. My desk looks like this tablecloth. That's how much it's happening. So if you are a little paranoid, I am too. I like paranoia. Why? Because it's going to keep you safe. There are too many people out there that are not paranoid, that trust everyone. One of them is my father. I'm doing this job, I see the horror stories, I see people losing their life savings, and I'm worried about my dad because he's retired, he loves his computer, he loves his online games, he loves his email, and he can't not click something. If it pops up, click. If the game says you're gonna win 200 tokens, click. And he clicks and he clicks and he clicks, and before you know it, everything's open on his screen, who knows where it's going. He scares me to death every day. So I tell him these things and he's like, "I'll go talk to your mother." I try to give him my experience, go talk to your mother, I'm fine. And that's what I deal with is most people say, not me, right? It's not gonna happen to me, I've heard these things. I've gone to the Civic Center, all right? I've heard from Mr. Lucido, it's not gonna happen to me. And guess who walks into my office next week? One of you. Because they're very good. They're amazing at what they do. I've been on the phone with them when a family comes in and they're sitting in the office and they're with me and I'm going over the case, they get the phone call. "Oh my God, it's them." I go, "Pick it up. Talk. Act like I'm not here." And they are amazing at what they do. They are the best salesmen in the world. If they use their powers for good instead of evil, they'd still make a lot of money because they're that good at selling stuff. But that is my desk. I can't close cases. I can't get rid of cases because it takes so long. And the problem we're having is a lot of people don't understand that they've even been taken for several months. Well, that check that got taken, that money, that information you gave. I got a case today. It started back in October of 22. It's December now of 23. So I'm 14 months behind this case. I probably won't catch up to it. And it's hard to say to people that I know you lost X amount of money. I don't want to get your hopes up, but it doesn't look good. And it's very hard to say that to people. And when I know it's local, and I know it's probably someone in their family, it's somewhere close by because of how the case looks, I go from A to Z, and I'm going to find them. I'm going to go get your money somehow, some way. It might not be the $1,000, it might be $2 by the end of it, but I'm going to keep going. The problem we have in a lot of these is they're all over the country. It's Texas, it's California, it's New York. And then from there, it's Nigeria, it's overseas. It's gone, and we can't get back to it. And I do want to scare people a little bit because I want them to be more careful. A lot of these cases I'm seeing, like they said, the two-factor, right? All that information is out there. And I think you've heard this expression before, right? I could tell you, ma'am, I'm going to give you a tube of toothpaste. I want you to squeeze it all out. I will give you $1 million if you can get all that toothpaste, every drop, back into the container. Are you going to be able to do it? It's impossible. Our information is already out there. It's gone. We can't get it back in the tube. So all we can do is our best now moving forward. It's out there, okay? I just want to give you a little example. I'm going to ask someone to be a volunteer. Crime commissioner. Because, and I'm asking you because obviously there's some titles, there's some online presence, right, where your name's out there, right? People know your name. It's not a secret. So I want to show you something. This is my cell phone. It's not a secure police phone. There's no special police information on here. There's no special applications. There's no legal applications. There's no law enforcement networks. I am going basically off Google to a little site that houses information. And this is a perfect example of how quick. So can you spell your first name? Yep. I just put in her first name, the last name, right? I think we got the block going on in here. I may have spelt it wrong. Let me see. Middle. Yep. ART. Yep. Spell check's doing a number on me. So this one's very good. How many things have you taken your information off of? Okay. Do you have LifeLock? Not yet? Okay. What's your maiden name? You can tell me privately. I won't give away any information. It's all online. Spell it. Hanson. Keep going. Oh, Hanson? Oh, okay. So I'm going through, and it's giving me a list of everyone with her name. And everyone it's pulling up, it's giving me all their relatives. It's giving me all the streets that they've lived on. It's basically all on the internet. And the best part about this one is it's very good because you're one of the first ones that it's given me a little trouble on. So that's fantastic, to be honest with you. So that is a good thing, okay? So just for an example, though, and I'll show you what's on there in a second, but basically, when I type it in, and this works for literally 99% of the people, so she's done an amazing job. She said she's blocked herself on like 35, 40 different things. It's working, okay? However, for all these other people, I have all their last addresses. I have everybody they're related to. So there's another person with the name Angela, where it's giving me all their relatives, everywhere they've lived, their last 4 or 5 phone numbers, and it's that quick. And I'll go over, hers with her personally, but it's that quick and we get all that information, okay? And that's where a lot of us start our investigations. We don't use some crazy fingerprint machines or any crazy law enforcement networks. We start a lot of our investigations on Facebook, on Google, on all the open source things. A lot of my cases, yeah, it's tough to track the money and it's tough to get it back, and I'm very realistic with people. But the important thing is, most of my stuff occurs in most of the crimes I deal with because someone gave stuff away. It just wasn't random. They didn't just randomly grab your bank account and run with it and start opening stuff. It's usually something that you physically gave them. Maybe you mailed a check to your grandson and they grabbed the check from the mail. Don't put checks in the mail. Every check in the mail now disappears, it seems like. I have a bunch of those, and they grab all the information off, or they copy it, and they call it's washing it, and they put new information in. A lot of it comes because people are giving their information. Yep.
So, wait, I did put a check in the mail just recently.
Okay.
But, so does the mailman then, what's the process as to how it's stolen?
So, no, that's a great question. So she says she recently put a check in the mail, okay? There's a million ways it's happening. And you have to remember what happens with that check, okay? May I ask, where did you send the check?
Doctor's office.
A doctor's office nearby? Yeah. Okay. So that check, did you put it in the mailbox? Yeah. Did the mailman take it from your home?
No, I put it in the mailbox
at the corner? Okay. So putting it in the mail. Oh, so you took it right to the post office. So that's good. You saved yourself 1 or 2 steps, right, of where it could have been taken. But your average, letter does go in a mailbox. It's sitting there for a while. Could have got taken. Then it gets transferred from the postal worker. Then it's on a truck, right? They can get out. They're supposed to lock their vehicle. Maybe she went and grabbed a hamburger and then came back out. Maybe someone was in the car. It has to go back inside. then there's workers inside, then it has to go back onto a truck to the doctor's office, then the doctor's office gets it, and it may sit on the counter at the doctor's office. It's not going from your hand to the doctor's hand. We know that. Do more of that stuff with less activity, okay? I don't want to say how per se, because everybody's comfortable with different things. People are more comfortable online. People are more comfortable with cash. There's a million ways. A lot of doctors' offices say we don't take cash, right? So there's a million ways to do it. Do it whatever way you're safe and you feel most secure with, but at the same time, limit the steps between you releasing the money and them getting the money. All right, the least amount of steps that you can possibly do. And I see your brain working, the paranoia is kicking in. I like it because it's going to keep you safe. I promise you. Yes, sir.
We hear of a lot of scams. What's the percentage of these people that are caught? I never hear about it.
You don't want to hear about that. You're not going to hear about that because the percentage, I'm just going to be honest with you, it's low. That's how good they are. Now, when it happens locally and it happens more face-to-face and it's more physical, that's easier for me. I love when I get a license plate. All right, Mr. Lucido loves when he gets a fingerprint. But when you're doing it online and someone's in Nigeria, I can't get my hands on him. He doesn't have a Michigan license plate, right? A great majority of the complex ones are out of the country. The ones that deal with crazy bank accounts or electronic money, the crypto money, the Bitcoin that you hear about, it all ends up overseas. And I just was in a class yesterday. I went to and trained with the Secret Service yesterday, just educating ourselves to help more people. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. And like I said, the ones that are local, like when your check gets taken, I have success getting those. But when that check gets taken randomly somewhere and it's shipped somewhere else or shipped to a buddy somewhere else and they wash it and they cash it at a bank and they print them in California, it's very difficult. And I'm just very honest with people. Yeah. Well, the government is not doing very much because, as Mr. Lucido says, there's a lot of money involved. And yes, it's our money, but people are making a lot of money on this. So they keep selling that information. And at the end of it, though, as long as you don't give your personal information, there's only so much we can do. I've been hacked. I'd like to think I'm pretty good and I know what's going on. I've been hacked several times. It happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us. The things that people get hacked the easiest is when you give that information up, when you answer the phone that you don't know who it's calling. I told you about my dad. My dad's old school. Just like Mr. Lucido's family, when someone calls, you pick up the phone. When someone knocks on the door, you answer the door, son. I'm not going to let that phone ring. I need to answer it. And if they hang up, I'm calling that number back because that's rude. Dad, stop. Yes.
You have LifeLock, don't you?
I do not have a LifeLock. Okay. I just haven't gone down that road yet. And LifeLock, and I'm not an expert on it, it's a service that helps protect all your information. It is a paid service, but at the end of the year, it's one of those things where it's kind of like insurance, right? Where no one likes paying for car insurance. Everybody hates car insurance, right? But if you get into a big accident, who loves car insurance all of a sudden, right? It helps you out. So that's the thing. You're going to pay it a little bit a month, but they protect you. And I know, again, I'm not a salesman for them. I don't even have it. I'm just being honest with you. But it is something I want to look into because now I have children of my own and there's more financials out there, especially with their information. But at the same time, it's something that they look at your stuff. You can go to them. And if you do have a breach, they support you, they insure you, and they help you get you out of it. Okay? So what I'm just going to say is just make sure you protect your information. Don't give your information out. I have cases that come in every day. I typically get 2 or 3 cases per day. Do that math at the end of the week, I have 10 to 15 cases just that week. Every case that Mr. Lucido brought up today, every situation, everything that's in that book, I have one exactly like that on my desk. Exactly. My one this morning was a call from jail. He got called by his nephew. He's a good kid. I don't know why he would call me. They asked for $9,800. He went to the bank, cashed it. Someone came to his house to pick it up for him. Gone. And then they called back the next day and said, well, there's been a complication. The car accident he was in, the female was involved. She was pregnant. There's some stuff going on there. There's a new bond issued. We need $10,000. He's out $19,800 in a matter of 24 hours. My other one is a call on the phone. I can help you. There's COVID relief money. And if you do this, this, and this, I can get you a whole lot of money. So I'm just going to say this. I have a case on my desk, $275,000 in a love scam. I also have one, $80,000 in a love scam. The weird thing is that both guys were stuck on an oil rig in the Middle East and needed money. Sounds crazy, right? No one would do that. They fell for it because they groomed them for a year. They groomed them for 4 years before they asked for money. $275,000. I don't know about you all, but I couldn't afford that. And I feel terrible because that's everything they have. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the door. If you do by mistake, hang up. And the last thing I'll say is, if you need something done, if all of a sudden you want a new roof, call these companies yourself. Go visit these companies by word of mouth. All right? Go to your friend, Mr. Lucido, and say, hey, have you had a roof? Who'd you use? I like your roof. If they come to you, there's a high likelihood it's a scam. If they call you, there's a high likelihood of a scam. Hey, I noticed your brickwork looks terrible. It's going to break down. You don't want to deal with that. Hey, let's do a brick job for you. If you don't call them, say no. And then if they brought up a good point for some reason, and they leave and you go, man, maybe I do need some bricks. Call your own companies, do your own homework. Don't use them, because it's probably a scam. Okay? If you need any of us, if you need something, if something happens to you, feel free to call the Warren Police, go make a report at the Warren Police Department. It'll probably come to my office, okay? My name's Detective Graus. If you need anything, we're here for you. I promise you, we're gonna keep fighting, and we're gonna try to get everything back, knowing that, you know, depending on the situation, it's gonna be very difficult. So we wanna be proactive in this and do these type of meetings as much as we can, because it's really tough to get that toothpaste back in the tube once it's gone. So this goes for your financials too. That leaves your wallet, it's really tough to get it back in there.
You want us to go back and get a safe for your basement?
Yep, yes, no, I agree. So thank you for having me, Mr. Lucido. Thank you for having us and
Thank
inviting
you.
us. If you need anything, please feel free to call us. Like I said, Warren Police Department, we can come to your home. You can come in and make a report at the front desk, okay? However you'd like to do it, we're comfortable handling it. After you make that initial report, let us know. We're here to help, okay? And thank you to the Crime Commission, because they're doing a great job. So, yep, I will bring it over to you, all right?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Detective. In regards to closing this out, a lot of these cases are not reported. And I know that the detective says he has a sea of yellow, which are all these open files. And a lot of them are impossible to even get back the money, because once they've gone and taken the money, they're flying under the radar. But it's us who have to be vigilant to prepare and take care of ourselves and our loved ones. And all that being said is, it's embarrassing, it's shameful when it comes from your own pocket, but it needs to be reported at a minimum if we want that data and to continue to stay safe in the fight against these scams, especially out of the country. They're not even in this country, and they're taking our money and all of our hard work that we've done all of our life. So thanks for all coming out. If you need booklets for anybody else, we've got more here. Bring it to them. Also, as the detective said, and the Crime Commission, these are vital for us to go ahead and make sure that the information is at least supplied. People need to take the time. I don't even care if I put it on a loop and just let this go into the community and let them hear it, because it's not much just to sit down and listen. But we've learned from each other, and we will grow and prosper if we work together. I'd like to thank the Crime Commission for putting this together, and thank you all for coming out. Have a blessed weekend.